What's up everyone? I'm Julius Grayson and this is the first video of my blog, Embracing Self-Love. Embracing Self-Love is basically me taking the opportunity to combine all the things that I love as an individual and sharing it with you all. The three things that I'm really interested in and will be talking about or really discussing with you all throughout the blog include poetry, quotes, as well as history. History is really fascinating to me because it always caused something known as cognitive dissonance for me. Cognitive dissonance is when you have two contradictory thoughts or beliefs, and it kind of causes mental confusion and also allows this space for a lot of learning to occur. An example of cognitive dissonance would be when I grew up, I learned about Christopher Columbus, how he came to the Americas, he was this hero, he embraced the native people. However, as I got older, I learned that that was kind of a lie, that he actually committed genocide and murdered off a majority of the native people who were here, people who were indigenous to this area. So he didn't find it. And that's something that's amazing about history that I really love, because it really allows you to challenge what you've already learned and process through that. Something else that's really fascinating about history is that as you start to really comb through history, you start to stumble upon many quotes. And quotes are very significant, especially to me, because as I think about quotes, I begin to think that quotes allow you to develop a perspective that a person or organization had surrounding the historical context of that time. For example, the other day I seen a political cartoon, and on one side of the political cartoon it had a social activist, and on his right side it said 1965, and above him it said "We shall overcome." And then to the other side of him was a picture of him in 2015, and above it it said "One day." For me, I know that future generations will see this image and they will see that not only in 1965, but in 2015, we're not only fighting against social inequalities, but also racial injustices and racial violence. And it'll allow them to really understand where they stand within history. And even though that there has been generational progress, that there is a fight that always needs to be continuously fought. Quotes are also very important to me because I believe quotes are insightful, encouraging, as well as challenging at times. And that's another part of embracing self-love. I'll be sharing insightful quotes, positive quotes, as well as challenging quotes, because I know we all share different perspectives, and to really sit down and share my perspective on a quote and then have you all comment below and tell me whether or not you agree, disagree, or never thought about it in that way will be really good for me, because I get to learn from you all. And the quote for this very first video is by Booker T. Washington. And the quote is, "Though we are not where we want to be, yet thank God for we are not where we used to be." And I think this is very important as we all go through our own personal journeys. And we have professional journeys as well as personal journeys. And the third element of embracing self-love is poetry. Poetry is near and dear to my heart because I've always taking the time to write poetry because it allows me to clear my mind. I have a funny story. When I was in 6th grade, my English instructor gave us an assignment to do something for Black History Month. And so I wrote a poem about Martin Luther King Jr. And when I turned it in, she totally discredited the fact that I wrote it and that I basically plagiarized. And so for me, this is really me reclaiming my love for poetry, because I've always taken the time to write, but I've never actually performed. So this is going to be the very first time that I actually perform one of my poems. And this poem is essentially tying in Booker T. Washington's quote and a song by Kendrick Lamar known as Complexion off his latest album, To Pimp a Butterfly. The part of the song Complexion that really resonates with me, and it's a part where they say complexion doesn't mean a thing. However, complexion means everything. It appears the darker the pigment, the lesser the relevance, whether I'm hooded with Skittles or a South Carolina reverend. There is this chokehold that won't loosen its grip on me. There is this chokehold known as white supremacy. It appears no matter how much privilege and power you are afforded, the darkness of my skin still makes you feel subordinate. You've developed this complex to throw us in prisons and try to strip us of our culture, but who's Iggy really kidding? Black girl magic. Now that there is amazing, but give me a second and let me get back to the basics. There is this chokehold that's like a generational curse, which is why parents have to have that "you're a black kid" talk first, or why all those babies chose the white doll instead of the black one. Where was the self-love lost? You see, the oppression is everywhere. Ethiopians and Haitians are currently facing it. All I ask is that you educate yourself and that you please don't waste it. I want to thank you all for watching my very first vlog. Please share all your thoughts, comments on the content, what you think about embracing self-love.